From dog tags to ownership, heroes take the lead. Stories of veterans building dreams with passion, pride, and speed. From service to success, we're here to inspire the quest. Dog tags to ownership, we're the best. Take the prize.
So this week's intro might sound a little different because Matt had a big uh-oh in his driveway when he spilled a ton of paint all over his new truck and his driveway. So this week on Dog Tags Ownership, Julie had to take the reins by herself and lead us through this great episode. So here we go. From the battlefield to the boardroom, this is Dog Tags Ownership, the podcast where veterans share their journeys from serving our nation to leading a business. Hear inspiring stories of grit, growth, and the entrepreneurial spirit that drives those who serve to succeed. Tune in and take the first step toward your own mission and entrepreneurship. Military One Percenters, welcome to Dog Tags Ownership, where once a week we interview veterans who charted a path towards entrepreneurship. Our goals are to share resources, advice, and success stories about starting a business, discuss strategies for building financial independence and creating your own path, and most importantly, build a community to support each other through the challenges of transitioning from service life to civilian ownership. Today we are extremely excited to introduce our guest to the show, Brent Bowers, a former U.S. Army officer turned successful real estate investor who built a thriving business that allows him to prioritize family while helping others succeed. Brent, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for joining us today to discuss your journey from Dog Tags Ownership. How are you?
I am good. I got a little nervous. I didn't realize you guys are both MPs, but we'll get through it. I'll try not to be so nervous.
We're not those kind of MPs. We don't really give tickets. We're more the fun MPs, I guess. Yeah, but with that, can you talk about tell your listeners about yourself and your military service?
Yeah, it was an absolute blast. 8.5 years in the Army. Combat deployments to Afghanistan. I joined in 2009. I got out in 2018. Haven't had a real job since. The Army was a great catapult for me. I was in real estate before the Army, 2008. It was a little rough on me. Ended up having to move in with my in-laws. I never lost that first rental I bought, but I always wanted to be in real estate. Couple deployments, one divorce, and married my lady now, Emily, and we got pregnant and had our baby early 2016. And I had just went from being a sergeant, I was signal support specialist back then, 25 uniform, to second lieutenant. I did active duty green and gold, and we got pregnant, had our first baby, and I was like getting ready for that third combat deployment in the field for 6 months, then about to be deployed for 9. My first deployment was exactly like 364 days, and we were back a year later. So I was just on this deployment cycle of always gone. And I didn't want to do that with children. So I was like, all right, I got to get back into real estate. So I found land investing, and no one was talking about it back then. And I'll pause there. That's kind of my transition.
I guess with that, you have Land Sharks. That's your big business. But prior to getting into that, did you use any of your military benefits to help you get into that? Like you're talking about having real estate before and you had a rental property and stuff. Did you use your VA loan to help you start your business? And can you talk about that a little bit?
No, not really to start my business, but I was using a VA loan every time I moved. I would buy another house. So now I currently have 2 VA loans on 2 houses. And actually the house I'm in now, I'm trying to pay this thing off. But we bought a almost $605,000 house in Florida with our VA loan. And that was a fixer-upper too, by the way. People are so confused about what you can do with the VA loan. This thing needed a new roof. They had like 8 dogs and 6 children living in this house. The pool was leaking, you name it, all kinds of stuff. And I was like, well, VA, they're the hardest. I think that's the easiest loan you can ever get, which we fixed it all up now. I feel like I put about as much into this house as what we paid for it. Yeah, that's about to the extent that I used it. I'm sure maybe I need to listen to your podcast. Maybe there's more ways I can utilize my military benefits, but I don't use banks. I don't use banks for the land that I buy.
So you have 2 VA loans out, you said right now, one for the house that you're living in, and then do you have another house that you utilize your VA loan for and are renting?
Yep, I rented it out. It was in Colorado, next to Fort Carson, Colorado. I bought it, and then we moved, and then bought this. As long as you're moving more than 60 miles, I believe, it's really easy to get a second one. I haven't tried for a third one yet. I don't know if that's even possible.
One of the hacks and talked to a lot of junior soldiers about this with the VA loan is, wherever you go to your first duty station, buy a house with your VA loan. And then if you can, try to convert that into like a conventional loan or something when you move and then rent that property out. So then you're starting to get that passive income and then buy another house at your next duty station or whatever the max is of the VA loan. You potentially could have 2 houses at once on your VA loan. Cause now I think it's like about up to almost $1 million, on that. So just, one of those, as soldiers are coming in the military and looking at getting into passive income and entrepreneurship, that's an easy way that we have a benefit that you can, utilize to help you start building that passive income. So, and that's why I was asking you if you use that.
So
And
true. No, I love it that when I went to college to Florida Tech, when I got selected for the active duty green to gold program, I was still getting my sergeant salary, my E5 salary, but I bought the fixer upper. I've actually bought a bank owned house next to the college, right next to Florida Tech in Melbourne. And it was a 3-bedroom house and almost 2,000 square foot. And I rented out 2 of the bedrooms. So I was doing what's called house hacking back then in 2013. I didn't even know it was called house hack, but that was paying for my mortgage and then some. I had a couple $100 left over. So I was like pocketing all my BAH and collecting the rent from these guys and then paying the mortgage. And I did like a cash out refi and I bought another property right down the street in Palm Bay, pretty much all cash, and paid that one off with my other house when I sold it. I wish I wouldn't have sold that house, but I walked away with a free house basically, and I didn't have any expenses for the 21 months I lived there. It was a short amount of time, but yeah, so many ways to make money. Even if you're in the barracks, I mean, you could still buy a house and rent that sucker out and rent all the rooms out to your friends.
can you just talk about the path leading to your establishment of your real estate business and what you do now and what it is really?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2016, I started sending a postcard to everyone on the tax delinquent list. Now, my land business has changed a little bit since then, but this postcard basically said, "Hi, I'd like to buy your land in El Paso County, Colorado." It's right next to I was at Fort Carson in Colorado Springs. And I didn't realize I was sending the county-held tax lien list. Basically, this was inefficient, garbage land, not accessible, not buildable, not or not landlocked, basically landlocked land that no one wanted. So these people were very eager to sell it to me for like a couple $100. So I bought this land for a couple $100 and then sell it for like $5,000 or $6,000. Well, for a brand new second lieutenant, I didn't even make $5,000 a month back then. It was like hitting the lottery for me. And then I started like losing confidence in the land. I was like, well, no one can even get to it. So I would sell it on seller financing. I'd let people make payments to me. And I would sell this stuff on Craigslist. I'd call realtors. I'd put it on Facebook. And before I knew it, well, let me back up. My second land deal I bought for $500 and I sold it for $500 down and $400 a month. I wanted to be the bank. I wanted to be the bank. I looked at what banks were making. If you have a $200,000 mortgage at 6% interest and you pay it back for 30 years on time, never refinance, you're paying that bank over 420 grand. Like, that's crazy. So I was like, how do I become the bank? So I started selling my land that way. And that second land deal I ever did, bought for $500, $500, and then I got $500 down and $400 a month. Well, that was paying my truck payment now. And I told my wife, Emily, I was like, if we do this 10 more times, I can get out of the military. Because that was my goal. I had a brand new baby and I was gone all the time. So, and I didn't want to have that keep happening. I didn't want another divorce really at the end of the day. So I did it. Took me about 18 months and I'm doing over 12 grand a month net monthly payments coming in. And I had rentals as well. I had actually 7 doors at that time because I'd started buying real estate in 2007. I was losing money on those properties, but I was actually making money on these parcels of land. It's like having a bunch of rentals, but the tenants never call me because there's nothing that can break on land. And the worst thing that happened was they just stopped paying me and I'd have to resell it. And most of the time I'd sell it for more. So I'm making like 12 grand a month in 2017 and I'm like, I'm out. I put it in my packet, my refrad packet to get out. I was out by 2018 and I had a $55,000 net profit the first month I was out of the military. And I was scared to death to get out, by the way. I was like, thank you, God. Because everyone's like, dude, 20 years, you're an idiot. You're throwing all this away. You're an officer. I was like, I hate being an officer. Everyone was trying to talk me out of it. And I was just like, I put on my blinders. I was like, I'm getting out no matter what. I will I will figure out a way to make this work. And land has made me a freaking millionaire. I just keep buying more real estate with that money that I collect from land. And here I am. I get to talk on these awesome podcasts now. I'm like a celebrity, I feel like, on Dog Tags to Ownership podcast.
What made you think of the idea to go and buy the land? Like, had somebody told you about this before, or was this like just an idea that you came up with and you were like, I'm going to try this out and see if it works?
Yeah. I've always been an entrepreneur. I love selling stuff. I started a lawn business in middle school. I was reading The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump in middle school. I was an avid listener to podcasts. I was listening to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, which I have the honor to be a host on now. Every Friday, I have an episode that comes out on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. But I was listening to some podcast, and I had wholesale several houses at this point. I had rentals that were destroying me, basically. Going broke, honestly. I was spending like my whole army salary fixing these houses up. And I heard someone talking about vacant raw land and how he was going to these tax auctions, and he'd leave after buying all this like properties. I didn't understand what the heck he was talking about, but he's talked about over the next couple of weeks, he'd sell them and double his money and triple his money. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if that half of what he said is true, I can do this, but I can't go to these tax auctions. I'm working like 14 hours a day for the military, getting ready to deploy again, going to the field. I moved my wife back to Florida because I'm like, I never see her anyways. Might as well be with her mom, which was a bad mistake. Like that put some riff in our marriage because she thought I was trying to get rid of her. And I heard him talk about it on this podcast, and I immediately started sending that postcard. And I'll give your audience that postcard. I put it on my website. Anybody can just go to thelandsharks.com/postcard. Fill out your email and you'll get an email with it. Now, I've changed the process up a little bit. It's gotten a lot easier since then. I'm buying way better. You can make $50,000 just as fast as you can make $5,000, the land deal. But yeah, I heard it on a podcast just like this.
Since you heard it on a podcast and you said you've changed it a little bit, how have you changed your business from when you started in, you said 2016, I guess, to today? And what are some of the drivers for you changing it? Is it based off of just the current atmosphere when it comes to real estate and stuff like that? Or is it other things that have driven you to change over time?
Yeah. Well, I love change. I'm a visionary. Like everything's a shiny object to me. Like I don't listen to podcasts anymore because before I know it, I'll be investing in multifamily and mobile home parks. I'm actually buying my first mobile home park next Tuesday. But a lot of things have changed. Now we figure out where the demand's at in the land, and then we have it priced out, and then we have a software program that automatically sends offers every day. So Julie, if you own a piece of land in one of my areas, you're going to be getting a purchase agreement from me every 12 weeks. And you sign it and you send it back. I get a land deal back in my inbox. So I'll do my research, figure out if I want to buy it. Sometimes I'll have to renegotiate because my pricing was wrong. And then we either buy it and flip it or buy and sell or finance it and become the bank. Or if it's like, oh man, I don't have that much money or my lenders don't have that much money, I'll just assign my contract to make a quick buck. And then we take that cash. And I had to learn this because the IRS sent me a bill for $120,000 in 2021 and I didn't have the money. So I learned to take my money that I earned from land and put it into another rental property. Either I buy light industrial buildings, I'm buying a mobile home park. But when you buy these rental properties, you get to like depreciate it. So if I have, I'll give you an example. Last year I had an $80,000 tax bill. My CPA said, go buy a $160,000 mobile home park. It's gone. The tax bill's gone now. So I could take that $80,000 and put it into a down payment on a mobile home park. And now I keep that money in my portfolio rather than give it to the government to waste. Now, I'm not saying don't pay taxes. I'm just showing you like some of the things that it's transformed into. But you do that for 10 years, you're a deca-millionaire.
Or do you have an LLC? Just like if you don't mind, like just getting into like the operating side of your business. So do you have like a holding company that you put everything into, and then that's where how you go out and buy the land, and then from there, once you buy it, then you put that same money back into the same account, I guess, for lack of better words, and then buy like just keep buying from that, and then now you're saying like you're getting into the home park buying and some other stuff. Is that how you do it, like through an LLC, like a holding company, or is it another way in which you have your business set up?
Yeah, very similar to what you said. Sometimes we'll buy them in separate LLCs, which are actually reminding me I should have opened up a new LLC for the mobile home park. Sometimes I don't put a ton of thought in it because I'm buying so many properties at one time and we'll have to change it later. But yeah, like our industrial properties, I usually put them into separate LLCs. But yeah, I try not to overcomplicate it. I try and do as many as possible in one LLC because accounting is expensive. That's my
I
biggest
guess like with your
expense.
LLCs, do you form all those yourself? So I know like for me, I have 3 LLCs, and I form all those. I use Zen Business. I don't know if you use anything like that to help you with building your LLCs, or is it you just have your accountant that helps you with it?
Yeah, no, I usually hire an attorney to take care of it. I've formed them myself, but I want to make sure that there's anonymity and basically just make sure there's the protections and whatnot. So now I have the attorneys be the principal agent and it goes to their address just to kind of keep it more private on the ownership.
What has made you now, I guess, pivot or change? You're still buying land individually, I'm assuming, but then based off like taxes and some other stuff, and changing your business plan. The mobile home park, is that something like you're planning on getting into more, or is that just this one?
Yeah, I'm testing it out really. I'm afraid of the management because I'm really spoiled because it doesn't take a lot to manage a bunch of notes where people pay me monthly. Now I'm going to have 8 people on one property paying me, but my goal is to sell them all the mobile homes and I just collect lot rent because that's also going to eliminate the property management. It's going to eliminate the lawn service, the bug spray. So technically my income's going to go up quite a bit for 12 years as I finance them the mobiles. But after 12 years, the whole park will be paid for with their money. So yeah, the goal is to probably buy one a year because I think that that's a very recession proof business, but also, we've taken some strategic launches as well with some of our land where we're now popping brand new mobile homes on some of our parcels of land and turning around and selling these things and getting like $50,000 net profit per deal. So some of my areas where it's like I could have made like $5,000, maybe flipping the land or signing the contract. Now we can make $50,000 if we just take it to the finish line with the mobile home. Because how did I learn this? I see all these people I'm selling land to making these massive profits, and I know what they got into. And I'm like, gosh, we should do this. So we now built it on a bigger scale, and we're teaching some of our land sharks how to do it as well in a beta program, and they're kicking butt with it.
It's really interesting to me. So I own 25 acres of land outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina, that I'm in the process of turning into an RV and boat storage area. Yeah, so similar concept. I
Beautiful.
mean, somewhat similar, just to gain passive income off of that land, doing that. So just interesting to hear, why you wanted to get into the mobile home park aspect of it, and what there is out there with that. Because I do think there is a lot of, in some areas, there is a great opportunity to be able to get into that side of the real estate business as well. And just interesting too, what you talked about is, putting a mobile home park on a piece of that land and then selling it that way is another, just great idea, for folks as they're listening.
I'm not putting in a mobile home park. I'm actually just putting in
Right.
one mobile
Okay.
home per like 1 acre. But yeah, I mean, these people are getting a brand new house with warranty on a piece of land. When it's like one of our areas, the median home price is 420,000, and that's on a fixer upper. We're putting a brand new home on this land, so they're getting and more land than they would if they bought that fixer upper, and it's half the median. We're selling these things for 230, not 460. So our buyers pool is massive. So it's almost like land on
Yeah, which
steroids.
is, for some people, very opportuni opportunistic, or whatever that word is, to be able to go have some land, have a place to live, and it's half the cost of what it would be to buy a fixer upper, have to put all the work and equity into that, to be able to get it to where you want it. So with that, yeah, go.
Yeah, they're VA. You can get VA loans, FHA, conventional. What's the other?
Yeah,
USDA.
and I also know like some other loans we found out about recently is there's like professional loans as well. Like so for cops, firefighters, doctors, folks like that in the professional field, there's things like called professional loans, very similar to a VA loan. So a lot of different loan opportunities out there for folks if you're looking at just getting into real estate and starting to build a portfolio with that. your first business, 2016, and it's still your business, buying and selling land, you said. But I think now you do a little bit of teaching, coaching to folks, and that's really become more of your passion, I believe, from looking on your website and hearing some of your stuff. Can you just talk about a little that and how you got into really, I guess, probably coaching and teaching your business model to others?
Yeah, I mean, when I got out in 2018, I was doing a lot of coffee appointments, and I had plenty of time because I was making enough passive income to pay all of our bills. And I had a friend that's like, "What do you like? How are you teaching people this?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, how many of them have done a deal?" And I was like, "None." And he's like, "How much do you charge?" And I was like, "I'm not charging anything." He goes, "Well, that's your problem. You're not charging these people. So free info, they're not taking any advantage of it. It's like, the librarian that sits in the library all day with all this knowledge. They're not doing jack with it because they didn't pay anything." And I always had this passion to teach because I like, again, I talked about reading these real estate books in middle school, and I would go to seminars on the weekends. I'd spend a lot of money, and I was like, I want to be that guy up there teaching one day. So I immediately charged someone $1,000 to one-on-one coach them. And I brought on 16 people at one time. And all 16 of those guys ended up doing a deal. One of them's still doing like $1 million a year. He lives out in Montana. Another guy's doing $40,000 a month. And he moved his whole entire family to Maui, him and his 6 kids and his wife. And I was like, this is nuts. So we built a community around it. And I was doing these small little land deals. And I was watching all these people I'm teaching doing big land deals. And I'm like, I should do those too. So the tide raises all ships, a rising tide. So that's how the community came. And then now we've just opened up the mobile home side of it as well, which is just fun and exciting, and seeing all these mobile homes go up all over the place. And like, we're trying to help this affordable housing crisis time, and as real estate does its thing and the interest rates go up, I think that makes people want brand new mobile homes even more.
So whenever you do your, I guess, your classes, your land shark classes, do you do those in person or you do those all virtually? And do you run like conferences and stuff for folks? Like how do you build that community of your people and get your name and stuff out there?
Yeah, I'm not big on the conferences. I've spoken at a few. We've held a few. So what we have, obviously I didn't want to be another online course, but we have the video instruction that gets you the result as quick as possible. So you take the instructions like a TM, a training manual, and you follow the steps and you get a result as quick as possible. We also do 4 live calls a week where we do deal breakdowns, deal analysis, share wins, share struggles. And then I have an assistant coach sitting in our forum all day long answering questions. They get my cell phone number. And also with our mobile home side, we have 2 other guys helping me coach that as well. So you're going to talk to 3 guys that are doing over 80 mobile homes. Like, we're probably going to be able to answer your question. If not, we're going to tell you the 3 famous words, I don't know.
Yeah. So have you like scaled your business, I guess? So, I mean, you just talked about 3 other guys. Or I'm assuming you're the CEO, owner, operator. And then do you have other folks that now work for you? And how have you scaled your business over time to get to where you are?
Yeah, at one time I have 15 people. We're pretty light on my personal organization. It's me and my office manager and my project manager. We have a fairly light business. I don't have a big organization. At one time I had the office and all that. We rented that office out. We're making cash flow on it. It'll pay itself off in about 10 more years. So it's really, at the end of the day, I don't want a huge organization. We had already accomplished the financial freedom and the time freedom and the geography freedom. We could do this. I was having lunch with my wife today and another friend, and we're talking about how bad the high schools are getting. So it's like, okay, I got to make more because I got 3 kids that are going to be going to high school eventually, and put them in private school. Or we pull them out and we do homeschool. Why don't we just move to another country and enjoy that for, a few years? Because it's like nothing holds us here once you have your finances in place to bring that money into you. It's like when I was in the military, I had to show up every day.
That brings me to a good point. So our podcast kind of has a double meaning. So dog tags the ownership, and that's ownership of your life after the military and ownership of your civilian life. So now that you are out of the military and you're doing your business now, do you feel, and I'm assuming yes, that you feel like you have more ownership over your life? And how has that like affected you personally and just been for you as being an entrepreneur and a business owner for you and your mental health as you have transitioned out?
Yeah, I still have bad dreams. Literally about 3 days ago, I was dreaming about an old boss I had in the military, and that I had went on a trip, and he called me wondering where I was at because I had left. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and everyone was still at work. And he's like, "Where are you?" And I was like, another state away, and I was like panicking in my dream. And I woke up, and I'm like, "I'm not in the military anymore. I'm not. I've been out since 2018. I still have these dreams." So I have like the only person I answer to now is my wife. I just got back from a fishing trip. We're going for mini season in the Florida Keys next week. I got a hunting trip in September. I'll be gone for like 8 days. We were traveling most of this summer. We just got back from Wisconsin. We were at our lake house for 3 weeks at the beginning of summer. Like, this is crazy. I can't believe I have this life. I'm not like driving Rolls Royces. I drive a 22 Chevy, 2022 Chevy. Like, I'm not like, we're not flaunting money, but we have unbelievable lives. Like, I can't even believe that we get to do this. I watched my parents work. My dad's still working his butt off. He's 64 years old.
You said you're the serial entrepreneur and you got to stop listening to podcasts and stuff so that you didn't keep trying to get into other businesses. But I guess what other business ideas do you potentially have now? You're getting into the mobile park piece of it. What's the next real estate thing that you're looking at or you're thinking about that's on the map for you as you continue this journey?
Well, I'm not going to do this business. But last Friday, I went and looked at three funeral homes to buy. I'm not going to do it. But that's my brain is always like, what's the next business? What's the next business? But I have a mentor that told me yesterday, he's like, you need to focus on what makes you the most money now and just do more of that.
Yeah.
Don't start another
No, that
business.
definitely makes sense. So I guess what advice would you give someone who's transitioning out of the military or currently serving that is thinking about getting into entrepreneurship and creating a brand or a business? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I'm probably preaching to the choir if they're listening to this podcast, but one of my biggest disbeliefs in the military was how people showed up every day and went home every day, and that's all they had going on. It was only the military. They lived, breathed, sleep, and ate the military. Me, I always had some other options going. I had the rental properties the whole time I was in there. I had other side hustles, businesses, because, the military, I mean, you're just a number. They track us by our serial number, our social security number. So I think if you're listening to this, you need to really realize that you might have 3 years left on your contract. You might have 5 years. You might have 1 year. That time goes by quick. 20 years is gone before you know it. And you're going to have to find another career. A lot of people join it at 18. So they're out by 38 years old. I'm 39. I think there's more besides the military. So you need to think about that. You're going to have a lot of life left to live when you get out. And why get out and get another job? Why not get out and travel most of the year? I've closed my biggest land deals in like Costa Rica. And I was surfing every day. I got tennis elbow last year surfing so much. It's like I race four-wheelers now. Like, I'm in great shape. So here's my advice is, think about it. Your military time is very short. Even if you do 20 years, you better have another option. Unless you just want to go work for like I got these job offers. So I was like, I'm not going to have anything to do with the government or military or war anymore. I want to do something totally different.
What you're saying is really think about what your passions are as you're in the military. And then whenever you get out and can those passions transform into something business wise or entrepreneur wise. And I totally agree with you. That's, something that I think about a lot for folks is what is your passion and how can you use that to make yourself better in the future? So where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
10 years, I'll have like 20 properties. I'll definitely have at least 10, just call it 15 years. I'll have 15 commercial properties paid for free and clear from my land deals and coaching. So that's going to give me more time to serve the Lord. Working doesn't stop me from serving the Lord. The financials are taken care of. So 15 years from now, I'll probably be doing about the same thing I am now. I'm just having fun and doing deals and traveling and, helping people. And, we're having a good time. Like I'm living the life right now that I want to live. I think so many people stay in the future. And so I really am not thinking about 15 years other than the fact that the properties we're buying now are on 15-year mortgages because, 30 years, that's a long way.
Get into our final two questions. So Matt's not here, as everybody can probably tell by now. He had a huge accident in his driveway with paint, so he's trying to clean that up. But so Matt listens to a lot of real estate and investing podcasts, similar to what you said you did, and audiobooks. But is there any recommendations that you have for our listeners or followers, podcast-wise, book-wise, for them to listen to or to read as they're trying to transition into entrepreneurship?
Well, if you're focused on real estate and you're interested in real estate, obviously I'm going to promote the Wholesaling Inc. podcast because I'm a host on it. And I think that we have a lot of awesome people on there that share their case studies and their stories. We hold their feet to the fire. They tell you how they did the deals. So definitely the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. And if you're looking for a good book, I recommend too, The Bible and The Wealthy Gardener.
Just give you guys a shout out too on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I listened to it leading up to us doing this podcast today, and you did a series where you took someone on live doing a deal back in like the December timeframe. I think you took her on like six episodes to get her into doing her first land deal. So we'll say, yeah, you guys do give out some great information on that podcast, and I really think it'd be helpful for our listeners and followers who want to get into.
Wow.
Yes.
That was with Tracy Kroll. That's so crazy. Those were in 2020.
Okay.
Those were right after COVID, 2019. I was sick when I was doing those. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That you heard those. Those were my first podcast.
Yeah. So they're great though, just for giving people that, like you said, that free advice on how to get into what you do if that's something that they're interested in doing. So
that's amazing. Yeah, we called those the Do or Die episodes with Tracy Kroll. That's so cool.
And I'll link them to our show notes too. So our last question for every episode, Admiral William McRaven authored the book, Make Your Bed, Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World. So Brent, do you make your bed every day?
I don't actually personally, because my wife gets out of it after me, and a lot of times she will make it. But when I go back there and it's not made, I just try and do it. One, because I tell my kids to do it every day. And two, because I'm like, I can help my wife. I did sleep in it, but she did get out of it after So I like rationalize it the whole time I'm doing it. I think it's the biggest waste of time, but it looks nice when you do it. So yes, I do make the bed is made, whether I outsource it, my wife does it, or I do it.
Great answer. And I agree with you. It just makes it look a little bit nicer in the house, even though it is somewhat of a waste. But Brent, really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your journey from DogTags to ownership. And one of the biggest takeaways I took from it is having this passion, this desire. You said you were in real estate prior to coming into the military, and that's something that always stuck with you. And you bought houses, as you went from duty station to duty station. And then you just continued that same passion and drive as you wanted to see a better life for yourself and for your family, and getting out and then taking that and getting into what you're doing now. So it was really great having you on today and hearing about what you do and how you do it a little bit. And for our listeners and followers, check out your website. It's Land Shark. It's the Land Sharks. If you Google it, and it comes up, and you can get some great information and tips from that. So really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you, Julie.
Military One Percenters, whether you're brainstorming your first business idea, already running a company, or just curious about where to start, DogTags Ownership is the place for you. Please hit that subscribe button to receive all new episodes. Also, if you know someone who has turned their dog tags into ownership, drop us a DM on social media or tag someone. We are always looking for new guests to bring onto the podcast. As always, Military One Percenters, thank you for your service. Let's continue this journey and working together to write our next chapter. Until next week, keep pushing to turn those dog tags into ownership.
From dog tags to ownership, heroes take the lead. Stories of veterans building trains with passion, drive, and speed. From service to success, we're here to inspire the quest. Dog tags to ownership, we're the best. Take the pride.